So friend, we are going to start with the three topics: simple graph, multigraph, and pseudograph is also called a general graph. So firstly, we have talked about the what is the simple graph. Simple graph is simply saying that in simple graph there is no loops and no parallel edges. That means and is also important. I am saying that no loops and no parallel edges is allowed in the simple graph. So we know about the loops, and next thing is what is the parallel edges. I am saying that a parallel edges more than one edges is connected to a different vertex. One more time, more than one edges is connected to different vertex. That means suppose we have A and B are the two vertex. We have already connected to the E1. Suppose one more vertex is I have covered E2. So E2 is called a parallel edges. So what is the example of the simple graph? So in the simple graph, no self loop. That means if this I have covered a self loop, so not possible, not allowed, and also parallel edges is not allowed. So this is the example of simple graph. So one more thing is also that in the simple graph, what is the maximum number of possible vertex can be found? Suppose this is the graph. I am saying that the n vertex is given. What is the maximum number of possible edges can be found? Yes, we can form. Suppose this is the ABCD, the four edges. So we can join this and also join this. So every vertex is connected to the remaining vertex. A is connected to BCD and B is also connected to CDA. C is also connected to CDA. So question is that in the simple graph we have, suppose if we have n vertex, then the maximum number of possible cases. So there is maybe possible n vertex. So n into n minus 1 by 2. So we can verify this formula. I am saying that n into n minus 1 by 2. This is the maximum possible number of edges in simple graphs. What is the n? 4 into 3 by 2, that is 6. So we can see that 4, 5 and 6. So this is all about the simple graph. So in the multigraph, next concept is the multigraph. Multigraph definition is saying that this is contains multiple edges. Multiple edges or parallel edges, both are same. We have already covered in the parallel edges. So multigraph contains only multiple edges. That means loop or self loop, both are things, both are same things, loops or self loop. That means loops are never be possible. So if you talk about the more technical definition of the multigraph, so simple graph, that means suppose this is a simple graph plus parallel edges, matlab that means A to B, this is the also edges. So this form, this may be the one example. Simple graph plus parallel edges, this equal to, this may be the example of the multigraph. This is the AB and this is the parallel edges of E1 and E2. So simple graph is equal to multigraph is equal to simple graph and simple graph plus parallel edges. We cannot say about and. Contains parallel edges. It's compulsory. So pseudograph, what is a pseudo or general graph? Pseudograph, loops as well as parallel edges. Loops as well as parallel edges is allowed. So if you talk about the loops, that means we have any, we can take about this graph. This is the graph, this is the loop, this is the loop. Suppose L1 is the loop and parallel edges, this may be the parallel edges of this, suppose E1. So we can say that the multigraph, pseudograph is equal to multigraph plus loops. Multigraph plus loops. So I have covered all the three topics: simple graph, multigraph and pseudograph. In simple graph, maximum number of edges equal to NC2. Suppose in simple graph we have a n vertex and m edges. So maximum number of possible edges equal to NCM. So I have covered all the three topics: simple graph, multigraph and pseudograph. I want to relate all these three topics in a by different way. Suppose this is the simple graph ABCD. We can say that this is the simple graph, and this is the multigraph. This you can say that multigraph, and the graph, this is, suppose this is the graph of G1, this is the graph of G2 and graph of G3, and this is the graph of G3. So simple graph is representation of G1. So this is the graph. My focus is graph G1 is also called a simple graph, and graph also is called a multigraph. Why? No, because in this graph no parallel edge is there, no loops is also there. So we can say that this is also a parallel graph or pseudograph. So every simple graph is a parallel graph as well as multi-graph. Sorry, every simple graph is a multi-graph or pseudograph. So next come will graph G2. That means this is the multi-graph, this is the multi-graph, and next will be the, so can we say about the graph G2 is simple graph? No. Why? Because there is a parallel edges. So the G2 is never be simple graph. I have tick mark that this is not a simple graph, but this is the pseudograph. Next come will the graph G3. This is the pseudograph, but this is not a simple graph. Why? Because in the simple graph no loops and no parallel edges is allowed. Already is loop there and already parallel edge there. In multi-graph no loops is allowed, so this is also a not a multi-graph. So in simplified way we can say that this is the Venn diagram representation. Every simple graph is a multi-graph and pseudograph, and every multi-graph is a pseudograph, but every pseudograph is not multi-graph or a simple graph. SG for simple graph, MG for multi-graph, PG for pseudograph. Thanks for watching.